I've been carnivore for 2,464 days and it completely changed my life. I want to share exactly what's happened to me. You can actually go look at my very first YouTube videos. I kept them here as a reflection, personal reflection. I never thought that I would really have an audience on YouTube or social media in general. I kept them as a reflection for me, and I'm so glad that I did. Because at the time, I never realized how sick I was. Woo, it's gonna be hard not to cry in this video. My health issues started in 6th grade, maybe even before that. So I had asthma before 6th grade, but in 6th grade, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis, which is a very young age to be diagnosed with osteoporosis. They tried to put me on Fosamax. My mom and I both decided, nah, we were never big fans of medication. My health continued to decline. I had severe digestive issues. I remember being constipated all the time as a child and having tummy aches. It seemed like every time I ate food, I paid a price. I just remember telling my mom, like, I need relief. I'm hurting. I don't feel good. This doesn't make me feel good. And in middle school, I just kind of made it through just bottling up these issues. But then come high school, I ran into chronic pain and severe mood disorders. I was diagnosed with anxiety, OCD, narcolepsy, insomnia, depression, and ADHD. And I was put on medications for all of these. They were rearing their ugly faces at me. OCD was probably, they were all really bad. The insomnia was really bad. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep for 5 days at a time. But the OCD was horrible. I was skin picking. I pulled out my own eyelashes. I started self-harming. I was having a really hard time. And that's to put it lightly. If you have struggled with any single one of those, my heart goes out to you. And this video is to give you hope. There is hope. Because for all of those diagnoses, doctors did not say there was a cure. They said that I needed to take medication. So eventually I did fold, decided, all right, I need to function. So I started taking Adderall, clonazepam, and Ambien. Basically legal speed during the day. I took up to 80 milligrams of Adderall during the day. Took 3 to 5 milligrams of clonazepam, which is a benzopidine. And then I took Ambien at night to try to sleep. I still didn't sleep. I still couldn't focus, and now I was like a zombie on these medications that I took for 13 years. At one point, I started having severe suffocation attacks where I could barely breathe. My arms would be glued to my side, my fists would be clenched. It's like I was suffocating and nothing in me could breathe, and I was clenched so tight. I would have to be taken to the emergency room. They would give me morphine and just call it anxiety. That happened a number of times. So I got so fed up with the traditional medicine system, being gaslit for years now. It's just your anxiety. I got counseling, I did therapy. It didn't help. It actually made me feel worse and more invalidated and isolated and hopeless, to be honest with you. So I trashed traditional medicine, said, forget it. You're not helping me. Got off of the medications. That was a process in itself. And then I started working with functional medicine doctors who discovered a plethora of autoimmune diseases. Some of the first were Addison's disease, Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, Crest scleroderma, a central nervous system disorder called central sensitization syndrome, or CSS. This encompassed a lot of the sensory, regulatory, mood disorders that I experienced on a regular basis. So let me talk about what my life experience was at this point. I had constant full body pain, peripheral neuropathy. I wanted to tear out of my own skin because of the amount of pain that I was in all the time. If I had money, I was going to Chinese massage parlors that were cheaper, and my pain tolerance was crazy. Like, I would have them put so much pressure into me. I remember one time this guy put his foot on the wall to get more of a grip, to put more pressure in my body. There was so much pain in my body that no amount of pressure could get rid of it. And you might not be able to relate to that, but if you've had chronic pain, you probably will. I had balms, I had so much Tiger Balm and like numbing things to just slather all over myself all the time. Did nothing. My mood was a wreck. I could not focus. I had severe anxiety. There's no way I could be talking to an audience or on camera or anything like this. It was hard for me to leave the house. In fact, I was in real estate at the time and they agreed to let me work from home because I was having such a hard time. Eventually, I actually quit my job. moved back in with my parents because I couldn't withdraw from clonazepam safely on my own. I was bedbound at one point. I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. I was later diagnosed with chronic C. diff, which is a bad bacteria that took over my gut. So I was losing rapid amounts of weight, couldn't keep weight on to save my life, and this is why you've seen me at 69 pounds. I was not starving myself. I had a bad bacteria that took over my gut. I actually had 3 fecal transplants for that, and they didn't do anything. The C. diff was seated in my gut. So right before I went carnivore in May of 2019, I had blood in my stools almost constantly. I was involuntarily throwing up, and this was due to ulcerative colitis. This is something I developed maybe within the last 6 months before I went carnivore, and I was really knocking on death's door at this point. 69 pounds at 5'6". Doctors are telling me that I need to be hooked up to a feeding tube and that I also need to remove my colon because of the inflammation. So I went carnivore one last time. This time I discovered Billy Doe meats, which is non-aged meat. Since I had mold toxicity, I had SIRS, I had mast cell activation syndrome, I had severe histamine intolerance. And this is something I didn't know about. So I had tried carnivore many times before, but this time I discovered non-aged meat, which is low in histamine. For the first time in years, I was able to eat food without paying a severe price. I stopped having blood in my stools. I stopped involuntarily throwing up. I stopped reacting to food. I stopped feeling like I had to lay down and take a nap after I ate a meal. I stopped having severe bloat, diverticulitis, gastroparesis, slow transit colon, pain within my digestive system. I stopped with the OCD thoughts. I stopped waking up and dreading being alive. That was my reality. The only break I got was when I was asleep, which sucked because I had insomnia, so that was very rare. And really the only reason I did not commit suicide is because of Jesus. Because there were so many people that just popped into my life that I didn't even know who said, God told me to pray for you today. Or stop me on a walking path and say, hey, I'm from this town, Waukegan, and God told me to stop you and tell you that He's providing, He's making a way. Crazy things like this would happen. People would prophesy over me. And so you need to know that there is a God who loves you. That's why I held on, and that's why I say that God is the healer and meat is medicine. So let's wrap this up and let you know where I'm at now. I am thriving. I gained 65 healthy pounds in 1 year. I've reversed every single diagnosis with labs to confirm. Using food as medicine. When I started carnivore, I stopped taking all my supplements. I stopped obsessing about my glucose and ketones. I actually put those away for a time because I decided, you know what? If this is gonna work, it's gonna have to allow me a little bit more peace of mind, because I was just running myself into the ground, chasing blood ketones. Now I understand, and I'm here to help other people who also feel like they've tried everything under the sun and it's still hopeless. It's not hopeless. Sometimes a strict carnivore diet is not always necessary. I did the lion diet for 1 year. Then I did carnivore for 2.5, 3 more years. And then I slowly reintroduced other foods. And so at the beginning of this video, I said I've been carnivore for 2,464 days. I've reintroduced other foods. I am carnivore. This whole pregnancy, all I've craved really is fatty meat and eggs and butter. So that's really cool. But now I am to the point where I stopped reacting to foods a long time ago. I stopped feeling like I was fragile. And I stepped into this new reality of I am created to thrive. I am resilient. I beat those things just by supporting my body with food as medicine and proper light exposure, essentially. That's huge. And so that's really what I want to take people to when I work with them one-on-one is we're going to use carnivore as a tool to heal and become stable, and it's completely sustainable long-term if that's what you want to do. But if you want to reintroduce other foods, I believe you can also do that too. Because when humans are functioning optimally, we shouldn't be these fragile people. We shouldn't feel like we have to hide from mold or go live in the desert to avoid black mold. A lot of people feel that way, and I can understand why. Because I was once suffering so greatly. I was willing to do anything to just have a normal day, a normal moment. This is a message of hope for anyone out there who has been just running in circles and not seeing results. You need to know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made and your body can heal and thrive. And carnivore is a fantastic tool to do that. Check out my other videos to find ways to troubleshoot carnivore for your bio-individual needs. Or if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I would be thrilled to help you with that. So the very best part of this beautiful story and journey is that I reversed every diagnosis with labs to confirm, became a health coach. I'm now helping other people. I have been for years and years now, which is such a beautiful honor and privilege to do. But I also gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, our boy David, who just turned 2, after not having a cycle for 16 years. Doctors told me I would never have children. They told me that I should not live past 30 years old due to crest scleroderma, which was taking over my internal organs. And even when I reversed all those diagnoses, I was hesitant, like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to have kids, but then I got my period back. That was the last thing to happen for me. Took a little over a year to get my cycle back. And I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy with David, a natural childbirth, and now I am due to give birth in 3 weeks with our second child, and I'm breastfeeding this whole time, still breastfeeding David. You tell me that the body can't thrive. You tell me that something is uncurable. I have a different story. I have a different experience. There is always hope.